It's Saturday. We're about to start the show. Chicago will be feeding us stuff and then we'll be doing the thing with the. And there's Johnny Million, and he is not eating caramels.
So close.
Yes, that's it's an interesting thought. Am I choppy on your end? I seem choppy, but it might be.
You look choppy on YouTube, but not on. Well, maybe a little bit on.
Hold on,
9 seconds.
Hopefully less so now. It's weird. Might take a minute before it catches up. We smooth.
Come on.
We'll check smoothness in a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Now, live from Chicago, the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Hal Sparks, your comedian and multimedia personality.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hal Sparks.
All right, let's do this.
It's Johnny Million. He's at home. He's cat friendly. He's surrounded by cats, and he's not eating chips or caramels. This week. That is the only thing in my computer world that's going 100% right is that we got Johnny Million. Hi, Johnny.
Hi.
You're our man in the sky, obviously, for those of you that are only listening on the radio. Million is attached to a string and floating alongside the Chinese spy balloon.
I'm 12 miles up here.
Yes, he's
the air is thin.
Yes, he's keeping track of it. I want you guys to know that it's in good hands. John has a lot of experience with balloons in his life. They're one of his favorite toys. And he gets
They are. I did a lot of horse smuggling.
That's right. He's what? He's he's always, it's like magic when he sees one. Like, I don't even know. You should see him with a Mylar balloon. It's just like, John, come back to, hey, talk to us. He just,
Yay, Marlar.
it's so glistening and floaty. It's just beautiful. So, you were bringing up before the show something that I thought was fantastically astute, Johnny Million, that it has been a bad week for walkback on the Republican side, on the right wing media side. The first one, of course, being the Paul Pelosi tape. This comes out after this whole grotesque anti-gay smear campaign they've been putting out against Pelosi when he's not even gay. They just can't pass up an opportunity. Oh, somebody said San Francisco, might as well throw a little gay bashing in just for kicks.
Yeah, or some violent guy that believes in everything we believe in got caught.
Yeah,
we have to pretend he's not one of us,
and also make it the victim's fault. All of a sudden it's they're wearing a short skirt. So the watch multiple outlets, Fox News and others, there were clips all over the internet. I'm sure many of you saw them where people were having to on the air walk back what they were saying. Like, no, we're looking at the video right there. He's breaking in the house. That's the hammer. There he is.
Yeah.
That's the backpack he was tired of carrying up the hill. This is the story. And then, they see the actual attack and people are like breaking down whether Paul Pelosi was like, get him. He should have done that because the guy was trying to wriggle the hammer out of his hand. And he was like, can you guys see that this guy is nuts? Right. Again, I'm masterfully managing this dude until the very last second when the cops showed up and then watching them walk that back. And then on top of that, I think DePape, the attacker calls to a local San Francisco station and doubles down on his MAGA credentials and makes it even worse for them. So that used to be, oh, bless you, Hal Vickery, for the super chat. That was really sweet.
And Lisa Mia Moore.
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet. That one hasn't come up on my end, but thank you guys. And thank you guys for joining us. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, all that kind of stuff. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. I'll get used to saying it at some point. Anyways, so, right about that time, we're like, well, yeah, he did attack him. And yeah, Paul Pelosi was an innocent victim. And yeah, Paul Pelosi handled a very scary situation as best he could in all these situations. But the dude had Black Lives Matter and gay flags outside of his house, and he was clearly a lefty. Well, those were, by the way, his exes or his girls. It's hard to tell what their relationship is because she's in jail for sex with a minor. Those were her flags outside the house. He was living in the garage. She'd moved him to the garage. The idea that he was homeless was not true. She was just letting him squat in the garage. He used to be in the house. Then he did something that moved him to the garage. We've all been in the doghouse. If you've been in a relationship, you've been in the doghouse once or twice. Have you not, Johnny Million? Yeah. That he was in the garage. So they were like, yeah, look at the house. It's San Francisco. They lived there. He was a nudist activist years ago. Yeah, he was one of these pipeline, faux-aggressive, angry, alleged leftists branding themselves as Marxists and all this kind of stuff that were coaxed rightward by the teachings of Alex Jones and Jimmy Dore. And you can tell because he wrote about it on his website. He became a Nazi watching these guys' stuff. He started, he was on the Hitler was robbed tip. That was his angle, right?
Robbed.
Yes, he was robbed. Nobody appreciated, what it was. Hey, the trains ran on time, that kind of stuff. So anyways, Lord Almighty. So, that was a bad start to the week, in last week. For
let's walk back number one.
That was enormous, gruesome, involved a bloody attack on an innocent man that they had gleefully, memed about for weeks, and then comes it's arguably worse because this one won't fade. They can't stuff this one in the memory hole the way they could other stuff. And that is, of course, the jobs report that came out. 517,000 jobs added when there was an expected 186. They were like, they've been cheerleading this recession since first word of it, where they were like, we had negative growth 2 quarters in a row. Technically, pushing their glasses up on their nose. Actually, we are in a recession by all bet. Well, again, also, the analogy that I keep going back to that I think is very sound, that if you have chronic migraines and you've been going to your doctor with chronic migraines for years and he treats them a certain way, gives you Excedrin and a shoulder rub, and then you come in with a railroad spike through your head, which would be COVID in this analogy, and and he goes, headache's back, huh? And gives you an Excedrin and starts rubbing your back. Like, I have a spike. This is unreal. Yes, my head hurts, but not for the reasons it usually hurts. So this is, yes, we've had recessions before. Yes, we've had, crashes in the economy before. Yes, we've had, issues, with the stock market because of somebody flipping the wrong switch on a stock bot and it taking a dive for a day or so. We've had those things happen. But in 1982, when there was this giant, when Volcker handled the recession and brought back or handled inflation by raising interest rates precipitously, there was no 1981 pandemic. 2008 was not predicated on the effects of a worldwide pandemic that shut off like boats full of oil sitting idle in the ocean. It was nothing like that. So to pretend it didn't is just embarrassing. So, and the issue that they have is that they're kind of, and maybe we're lucky. Again, we should count our blessings because we're dealing with idiots. And if we were dealing with people with any brains, they might actually cause some real trouble. But in reality, these guys are solving for the wrong problem. And repeatedly, that means going to come up with the wrong answer and be caught flat-footed.
Did you hear that?
No. It was a crackle.
It kind of sounded like your fart gun.
Oh, really? Was it a delay? That one? Was it anything like this? Was it this? It wasn't that one?
It might have been that one.
That's the only one
one more time?
That's the only thing
Ooh.
I've got this one. Is it any closer to what you're... Nope. That's the only ones I've got. Sorry. Yeah.
People are concerned about the audio in the chat, but I'm all about the fart sounds.
Oh, I see. What's the? Are we loud? Are we? What's the audio in the chat issue?
Apparently, it's crackly or staticky.
Oh, robot-y stuff. Okay. Yep. That's. By the way, that is because of how I'm getting you on this show right now. It's just I don't know what Sometimes it works, and sometimes it's just a big old jerk. So apologies. I will work on it over the course of the show to try to smooth it out for people in the chat room. It is just the nature of it's the devil we deal with. Interestingly enough, though, this is totally clear. I'm just saying that's the weird part.
That is, even though I've got pink eye, that's clear.
It gave you pink eye? Is that what happened? All right, we got to take a break. I'll work on it during the break. Let's just count it then. All right.
The YouTube audio is apparently fine.
How does that make sense? All right.
I don't know.
We're being attacked. This is it. The Chinese, I blame the Chinese spy balloon. We're going to blame the Chinese spy balloon when we come back.
Yep.
Because I have a couple of great reasons why not to shoot it down. And it's going to, and one of them's, well, save it. We'll on the other side. We'll be back right after this.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, that's fine.
Lots of people are saying the sound is fine, so I blame
just troll activity.
No, what do I blame?
Myself. What did I want to? Oh yeah, so this I'm going to try to add a channel.
Hal Vickery says we heard maybe one or two.
Gotcha.
How'd I pronounce that, Hal Vickery?
Yes.
Because he spelled it KKKKKKKHHHHHHS.
Right. Pretty rocking. Pretty.
I had to buzz through those K's quick. As when I started, I was like, "Uh-oh, you better get to 4 quick."
Let's see. Where is this? Nanotube. Whoops. Okay. I'm going to close this down because I'm going to cause myself more trouble than I need. All right. Cool. And open this up. I'm just going to be a jerk for a second. Since it's causing me trouble, I'm just going to play. I'm going to play with fire. I don't care.
Thanks, Hal Vickery and Phil Stone.
Thank you. Let's see. Is that...
And Justin Runs with Bears says that George Santos farted, which
that's
I believe.
Yeah. There's great audio of him. I wish maybe actually. Hold on.
Do you have some George Santos audio?
Oh yeah, it's long though. That's the problem.
Did you see him get asked about RuPaul's Drag Race?
No.
Some reporter came up to him in the hallway of Congress and said, "Congressman Santos, who do you think's going to win RuPaul's Drag Race this year?" And he turned around and this is visual. And he went like this. and then of course he started to say, "I've never watched RuPaul's Drag Race."
Right, which I do not understand. Like, how does that make any sense at all? I feel? Is it just me or is there a slapback? A little bit. Check.
I don't hear slapback.
I hear it.
Some people say Johnny is echoing.
Yes, I hear that as well. Hold on one second.
How about Johnny echo?
It's all right. I'll work on it. Don't worry. Hold on.
Slapback.
You got 15 seconds. You guys need more time?
Nope, we're good. I'll make it work.
Make it work.
Check for me, Johnny.
Check 2. Check 1, 2.
Okay.
You're locked into the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Oh my gosh. So we'll get to my balloon theories. And never mind the fact that China has spy satellites over the United States. And obviously they were becoming increasingly frustrated with the lack of intel they were getting from those things because A, we know they are there. And so we know to close the drapes when they drift over, and they're not going to retask them. Before we even start this whole thing about like, why would they use a balloon instead of a satellite? I would like to remind everyone that the Chinese have a space program that they have not used in years. Insofar as I know, there hasn't been a successful launch since COVID. And satellites, some of them go up and stay up. Some of them go up and fall down. And some of them you have to, put new ones up because the old ones don't work anymore because whoever you're spying on has figured out how they work and has either stopped them from working on that particular thing or blocked them because of where they are. And you have to reposition or retask them, and you don't have the means and wherewithal to do that with the old ones, so you need to put a new one up that you have more control over. And the Chinese, quite frankly, their space program, don't let Interstellar fool you, or the Martian fool you. They're not there. It's a lot of it is for show. So oh boy, yeah. There's a reason why they may be sending balloons because their satellites stopped working entirely. They also just supposedly there's a second one tracking over South America right now, and the Canadians also saw one. So I think they just tested a bunch and then went like, where are they going? Where are they going? Where are they going? Where are they going? like they were gonna what if we put these spy things up? The funny thing is, they said they got loose. They're for civilian use, and then they drifted away. And we're like, that's a spy. That's a spy balloon. It is complete. Listen to me on this. As someone who's traveled extensively in China and dealt with the CCP in person, it is entirely possible that the Chinese government floated spy balloons to spy on their own people, and then they started drifting. And then they went, oh, okay, well, since it's drifting, we might as well move it over here. It is entirely possible. It's also entirely possible that they just sent them up and don't care where they went and are just gathering slapdash whatever is underneath them. So it is complete crap that they are civilian use only and that they're just weather balloons. That is categorical nonsense. The Chinese government does not gather weather data unless it has military usage or population control usage. There is no bifurcation of that knowledge point. If you think our corporations are in bed with the military industrial complex and I don't know, Raytheon tracks how much water Coca-Cola is using or some, fantasy that these folks have, they got nothing on the Chinese government. It's mandated. If the Chinese military, if you make T-shirts in China through a Chinese company that prints the T-shirts, the Chinese Defense Ministry can come in anytime they want and say, we're taking over. We're going to put something in the ink. Whatever they want to do. I don't, God knows, little RFID trackers in your ring shirts, your retro ring shirt. We're like, hey, this is great. It says Stranger Things on it. Turns out you're being tracked. No, do I think they're doing that? No, but they could. They absolutely, with every business, even at the most absurd, they could walk in any day. Imagine if the United States was such that the Pentagon could just take over Mar-a-Lago just because they wanted to. They could just walk into, like in the middle of CPAC, just go, everybody sit down. You're all deputized and you have to go snitch on a family member. And if you don't bring us back one family member that's insufficiently conservative, we throw you in jail. That's a real thing. That's
insane.
Yeah, it is precisely that. So in general, it's the idea that this is a harmless balloon is goofy. But again, what else are they going to say? What else? What's their response? Yeah, it was a military satellite and I'd do it again. See, like, of course they're going to say that was, I don't understand what your problem is. That was, that was a total, we were having a kid's birthday party. It was a surveillance party / gender reveal. And
I can't wait for that thing to pop.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to the other thing. Way to do a transition there, Johnny Million. So here's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
All right.
All right. So the oh, I see. That's what that does. That's the garble. Okay,
What
I can't.
happened?
I was going to bring up a piece of audio, and that. Can you hear me? Did I go away?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
That's all right. Apparently there's a loop happening somewhere that I have no control over. So that I'm going to fix later on, and I won't be trying that again. But in the meantime, there is my theory about the blue and white. First of all, why not pop it? The easiest reason is because deflating it and letting it go to the ground or capturing it some other way, basically waiting till it gets over the Atlantic or one of the Great Lakes and then doing it. Well, it's over land right now, and right now it's over Missouri. So the DOD and Homeland Security and all these are tracking it right now, and as soon as it reaches a body of water where it can land and we can recover it, then we'll shoot it down. That's what's basically going to happen. The funny thing about everybody immediately jumping in and going, we got to shoot this down. It's got to go. It's gotta, like, shoot it down. I don't even know why we're being allowed. You know, like the Don Jr. level of panic. Trump actually all caps, shoot down the balloon. That was it.
Yeah.
That was the whole thing. And my instant response was fairly simple. It was, what if it's full of pathogens? What if one of their ways of protecting their stuff when they fly it over other countries to dissuade them from doing that is it's just full of anthrax? It wouldn't be hard. It wouldn't be difficult at all. What if it's full of fentanyl? How about that? Just go with some other, the main boogeyman of the right currently. Then you've popped it over populated areas. Then what? What then? What are you then responsible for the first attack? Now, don't get me wrong. They obviously wouldn't. They're not going to do that for that very reason. But also, they wouldn't be responsible for the first attack because, if you'll recall, the right believes that the Chinese attacked us. Not the government, the Chinese, just in general. Not just the people, but the cuisine. The Chinese food attacked us with COVID as a bioweapon. And again, if you believe that, if you even think that, then that means unequivocally that Donald Trump presided over the greatest bioweapon attack in the history of the world and certainly the nation. And his response was to say the leader of that country that attacked us was very professional and sell them all of our beef, pork, corn, and soybeans. So, everybody needs to get off of Chamberlain's case. Hitler never got such a deal. So that's my favorite kind of drop point to work out when people bring that up, when they're like, the Chinese attacked us with a bioweapon. You're like, you do realize that if that's true, Trump aided and abetted them, like
pretty much
on an extraordinary level. So that said, they're capturing it and looking at the level of tech that you're dealing with is the primary thing. Now, also, to be abundantly clear, the three planes that are tracking it from the Air Force, all three of them have the technology to effectively scan every signal coming in and out of that device. And the only reason they need to even crack it open is to look at any storage it would have. Like what device they're using to store stuff. That's it. So, in general, they know what the Air Force knows what they're doing, and the panic attack is performative even on the Republican side. They know this. They know all of this stuff. And by the way, the higher ranking the Republican that is squealing, like Ted Cruz or somebody, the senators, you can kind of excuse the idiocy of somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, because she's relatively new. I wouldn't, because if you've been a congressperson for more than 6 months, you know more about a lot of this stuff than almost anyone. certainly any pedestrian, but any senator who's clamoring about this is selling something. They are politicking on national security the same way they say Democrats do all the time. They know this. I know this. They know this. You know what I'm saying? This is obvious. There was a guy yesterday who posted online a picture of like Montana, Wyoming, in that area, and there were like red areas where the active military, where the active nuke sites were, and black marks where the inactive former nuclear sites were, and then gray areas where the military live bases were. And I was like, why the Chinese have to send a balloon over to find out where stuff is if you could just look on Twitter at an illustration? You get me? So anyways, the other thing is, and I have another theory about the balloon itself, which might even involve a little bit of our own government tattletaling on the Chinese in a material way. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. Okay, there's a couple things I can do. Let's just do this real quick.
So they said it's doing that thing where my audio is only weird when we're not live.
Oh, that's because it's when Chicago plays the transition music and the software is reacting to it on their end, I think. I'm to try to fix a couple things. This poor computer is just ice skating uphill.
Poor thing.
Okay, hold on.
Bear with me a moment. I'm going to run to the potty.
I don't believe you.
Muting the microphone.
All right, I'm switching.
$60 seconds. You guys need more time? Make it work.
Hola. I'm back. How is it that you never pee?
I am part camel. All during the show.
I just see an Elgato icon.
Okay, it'll come back in a second, don't worry.
Okay.
I think. Although there should be virtual cam.
10 seconds.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Oh, because I turned
Phil
it
is
off.
good to go at noon or at the top of the hour.
Excellent. Oh, I have.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
All right, so I'm chipping away. The moments make up the dull day. So
Wow.
there is a now. So Chinese. By the way, I'm for the record. Any anybody in the chat room or whatever, if I have video lags or audio problems or Johnny Million, his cat makes a noise or anything like that, we're blaming it all on the Chinese spy balloon. I'm just saying, it's we have never we've been handed a gift, and it would be. I just feel like it would be rude to not accept it. So, and by the way, if you are looking to support the show, we are fighting the Chinese spy balloon right now. I'm just saying, like, so we need your help to fight the Chinese. I'm trying to turn this into a telethon. I don't care, because if the right can blame everything on the Chinese spy balloon,
you just blame it on the Chinese and then start raising money. That's what you do.
That's exactly right. And Larry Fig drives safely on his way to Dallas. He's listening to the show, which is fantastic. Yes, absolutely. And Cynthia,
generous.
thank you for the technical support stuff. I will accept it in total shame. Yeah. I like.
Oh, shame, Father.
It's very sad. And by the way, this is supposed to be the updated little mini Mac Mini that I have. It's supposed to be able to handle all this stuff, and for some reason it's just like, nah, I don't
Not today.
Not today. Not you, buddy. For everybody else. So there is a excuse me. There's literally now like an air cult of maggots who are staring at the sky, and everybody thinks everything they see is a Chinese spy balloon. It's and that I guess they're here to blow up our egg factories, our egg processing plants. That's the other myth that they're floating. And I have to say that yes, everybody's like, shoot it down in the chat room.
Yep.
I have to say that the jobs report is the reason for the balloon juice season. Because, man, if you focus on that jobs report and essentially everything that the right is saying about Biden and China and the economy is, I mean, it's embarrassingly wrong so frequently that, quite frankly, they become more hyperbolic in what they are saying, because the more hyperbolic you get about a statement, especially online or something like Joe Biden is destroying the American economy because he hates the American people. Like, the more hyperbolic you get, it gets into kind of the religious zone of a statement and away from the material reality. Does that make sense? Where it's not even close to something you have to prove. It's so in the realm of exaggerated hyperbolic opinion that there is no follow-up. If you say it's Joe Biden's fault we're losing jobs in America, you could throw detail after detail. 19,000 manufacturing jobs were added when's the last time you saw tens of thousands of, like, every time we talk about a factory, even when Trump was talking about the Carrier plant or Foxconn that never came, it was always in the area of like, this will add 275, this is going to add 300 jobs to the 19,000 construction jobs are nonstop. It has baffled everyone at the Wall Street Journal and elsewhere, because they're like, what are these people building? Like, commercial property, largely, by the way, cloud services and warehouses, because that's the new boom in commercial real estate. And you cannot convert old apartment towers or office buildings into these kind of facilities. You got to dig deep into the earth and set up giant coolant facilities until, ultimately we solve that computer problem. And then those things will get unearthed and turned into giant basketball courts or something. But that's what they're building all around us right now. In Las Vegas, there was an enormous housing boom, and it's still continuing because the place has become a suburb of Los Angeles. It used to take me 4 hours to get from Venice to Hollywood some days. That's how long it takes me to drive from Vegas to Los Angeles. What's the difference? If your house is like 1/16 the cost, no wonder people are stampeding here. So that's part of it, right? So look at, that housing boom is ongoing. But along with it, there are just these, and Can't Stop Lying in our chat has seen this as much as anybody because he's here in town with us too, and Mark as well. They're building these warehouses that are not really office parks. They're for, storage and for, like cloud services and that kind of stuff, which is and factories, quite frankly, producing your own stuff here. T-shirts, like I would guess the industry that Vegas would use the most is like companies that make uniforms or that make fresh T-shirt and laminates and that kind of stuff for conventions that are in town. They used to outsource that stuff. You would order it and it would show up on a ship and then it would get here in time for your convention. Now there are people building those kind of companies here in Vegas because they're so frequent. It's a regular industry. So they're just doing it. And that's what's being built, not, like cubicled office areas or old fashioned office buildings where law offices have a small, thing in there. There's enough of those. And so many people working from home. But they were so confused about like, where are all these construction jobs going? And the other part is infrastructure. You think this is big. Wait till you see the spring construction jobs. Because as soon as the weather clears and they start working on these major infrastructure projects, like broadband in rural areas has just gotten started, like right before winter and slowed down. As soon as it warms up, it's on. And again, the removing lead pipes from old water systems, that in and of itself, it's very human intensive. It's going to require a lot of.
I'm going to miss that little tang.
Yeah, that slight sweetness that the Romans liked.
Yeah. Yeah,
I understand.
The Romans liked.
They did. It's partly why they went Looney Tunes. Was the idea is that they coated their plates in lead, and it made the food taste slightly better and killed other bacteria. Also, it kills your gut bacteria and it puts holes in the front of your brain. But who's counting? The balloon is Danny Deckchair, a real Aussie guy that tied balloons to his lunch. Yes, I remember that guy. The Australian guy who who tried to do his own like road show of Up. So the biggest number to come out of the jobs report is the smallest number, the number where people maybe just ignored it. They just didn't pay as much attention. And by the way, by not paying attention to it, they let the right sell a talking point that is false. That is an active lie they're aware of. And that is the job participation lie. The idea that, the unemployment's going down because people just stopped looking. Right? That's what you've heard all along. As it's
that bums me out.
Yeah, people aren't looking for jobs anymore because there's, they've given up on it or they're lazy or any of that. Like the way they just talk down the American people in general is kind of gross. And it shows their opinion of the average person. Not them, of course. They're cut from a special cloth. They're obviously in the same genetic line as Trump and his 200-year-old lifespan or 200-year lifespan. But if you look at the number ticked up from 62.2 to 62.4, the fact that that is a compensatory number to the number of jobs that were created, because as unemployment goes down and participation goes up, that is a multiplier of the jobs that were created. That's why the number threw everybody off. That's why they were expecting 186,000. They were looking at jobs added, but they were believing their own myth about job participation. They thought it was going down too, or that it had stagnated, and that this was going to lead into the recession, and all these companies are firing people. Tech layoffs. Remember that? Like, you've been hearing that for the last couple months. So one of the tech writers on Bloomberg was sort of sounding the alarm to all of his, stock friends who are like, the Fed's going to pivot and lower the interest rate. So because we're headed into a recession because tech people are getting fired everywhere. He's like, yeah, every tech person that got fired that I know of immediately had a consulting job that paid as much or more right after it, if not multiple ones. And by the way, that will increase because the Biden administration and the Democrats have prioritized, getting rid of non-compete clauses because they fall under antitrust and they deny people autonomy in their own work and skill. And again, anybody who thinks, like a short term, if you're working on a particular project, right, something that's coming out in the next 5 months, and you know a competitor is working on an equal thing, and you're both jockeying to get that thing out over the next 6 months. A non-compete clause for 6 months is one thing. But you better offer with it a relatively, reasonable golden parachute that if we fire you in that time, you have a non-compete clause. You can't work for our competitors, even though that's your skill set, but we will pay you for those months if we have to fire you. And that's why you're hiring, because these are highly skilled workers a lot of times. Instead, if you look back at, past being prologue, look at what Microsoft did with Netscape and did with, was it Borderland? One of the early video game companies that they capsized that was trying to bounce off the Commodore boom of gaming. There were all these programmers working really hard to make like these cross-platform games. And Microsoft wanted to have all of it, so they hired them, gave them a non-compete clause that was 5 years, and then fired them, and they couldn't get a job anywhere because there were no other versions of that job. These guys ended up working in IT doing, effectively menial technical labor because they couldn't. They were shut down from that. Again, if it's a single project, your competitor is looking for a project that's equal to that, that's one thing. But these were absurd. So the Biden administration has gotten rid of those, which means you are going to see in the work from home movement, you're going to see a bunch of tech workers who've been fired or decide to leave now consulting for multiple tech firms and only signing NDA and non-compete clauses around their consulting work around certain projects. And which means it's going to zero out the job losses in a market that's otherwise volatile. And we wouldn't even be having this conversation if the right was not rooting for a recession.
Yep.
They don't have a plan. They know the country's headed in a better direction. They know Biden is totally on point with his economic strategy. They know it isn't Marxism. They know it isn't a takeover of our government by George Soros. But they don't have an alternative, and they're frightened to death of success. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
So Phil is ready to go at the top of the hour.
Excellent. And I'm echoing to myself, but I don't care. Because it kind of gives me an Elvis slapback, what I'm saying? Oh, you're in what?
But the audio sounds good to me.
I got to say, thank you very much. Let's roll.
Oh, did you hear that thing about Hunter Biden suing about his own laptop?
Yeah, so about hacked material. Everybody's adding the laptop part. There was a laptop that was Keith Abloh came in contact with. That's the one they're talking. That's the one they're talking about, not the one at the repair shop. It's a very important distinction no one is making, and it's going to get Rudy Giuliani in huge trouble. He's going to get sued, which is going to be.
He's probably just going to pass away.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
You're locked into the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Welcome back. So Philip Ittner will be joining us in the next hour to talk about what's going on in Ukraine, and the U.S. is prepping another $1.7 billion package to go to Ukraine, and everybody, Marge and Matt Gaetz and Don Jr. and all the people who were like, but that Russian fake NRA money was going to be my re-election campaign cash. Damn it. That crowd. all the people who would have benefited from the Russian NRA cash that dried up and are still, they're livid about it. Those folks are, you'll see more and more. This has to end now, today. Okay, well, why? Because Russia's losing. Because they know. Because they can see it. And Russia is amassing supposedly a big bunch of people, bunch of soldiers for some big push of individuals, untrained, in some cases prisoners, most of them they're functional workers in the country that are going to run into a hail of bullets and missiles and artillery with nothing but a plywood AK-47 and body armor with pancake batter in it. I don't know what the heck. I don't care how many people they throw at this.
Sounds delicious.
This is not. It didn't work during the Braveheart times. This is not. Yeah. And by the way, Jordan Mills says in the chat room, has Phil heard about the report on nuclear weapons Putin received this week and how some don't even exist? A lot don't work and the generals fake the soldiers working there and collecting their pay. Yes, it's exactly what I've been saying this whole time. That look, again, if you're going to steal from a store, you work at the store and you realize while you're working at the counter that 10% of the items are 100% or 90% of what you sell. And 10% of the items never get bought, but they're always in stock and always have to get rotated through. You also know that the pieces of that product, the pasta, the cheese packet, the box, all have a price. People will buy each of those things separately for cash. And since the store never moves them and they always get thrown out, and nobody even looks to see if they're in stock because we've stopped even putting them on the shelf. They just sit in the back under a tarp. What would you steal first? Would you steal from the till where the cameras are on you and the customers all the time and the cash is the thing that moves the most? Or would you steal the things that move through at 30 to 50% rate where somebody go, where'd all the Capri Suns go? You know what I mean? Where they're like, Capri Sun. I don't know. I'm just picking things at random that in my childhood moved like hotcakes, 10 in a stack and covered in syrup. But no, you would obviously steal the stuff that nobody thinks they're ever going to use until it's an emergency. And you're like, where the hell's my tire inflator pump? Where's my jumper cables, right? You would sell the jumper cables because we never use the jumper. They sit there covered in dust. This guy said, I'll give you $10 for the jumper cables. And I sold the jumper. How was I supposed to know? That's exactly what's happening. And you have to understand, they were selling parts off tanks. They were selling parts off airplanes. They were selling the tanks and airplanes themselves without permission from their uppers. So of course they're selling off every integral part of the nukes. And it isn't even the missile themselves, the computer systems that use them for targeting, and none of the people like Putin and his ilk are technologically savvy enough or have a strong enough ego where somebody else could tell them, yeah, this is really working, and they believe them, like to audit the auditors for themselves. Like, I got my tech guy, we're good. So if you guys are BSing me, he's gonna check your work, right? And by the way, that's called bureaucracy, and that's what the right laments about the deep state in the United States. That's what we have. We have layers of fail-safe just for this type of thing. Otherwise, just like anybody else, our nukes would have been sold off in the mid-'70s to God knows who. That's what happened. It is of course they're not ready to fly. They look like it to Putin. Somebody brings a car wash crew down to one of the silos if he wants to do a tour. But there have always been two intrinsically wrong things with the idea that Russia's going to launch a nuclear attack. One is, does the stuff work at all, which is a huge question, right?
Yeah.
And if you launch it and it blows up in, let's say your trigger mechanisms trigger as soon as they leave the silo instead of halfway through the sky, right? When they're on their way to their target. They're old and that's how they were designed. They're mechanically done so that, and somebody doesn't know to flip the switch. And it blows up in the thing and then you have nuclear explosions all over your own country. That's a constant possibility that they have to understand. And you'd have to send teams of people that you trust to all of them who aren't on the take or undermining you if you're a paranoid lunatic like Vladimir Putin is. And you have to believe them when they come back and say, yeah, they're fine. What if the dude's forehead is sweating like in Total Recall and you're like, you know what I mean? So the other thing is in 1991 when they fell and there were, American business people all over the country running amok and getting involved in the oil and gas industry. And it was the Wild West and, all these commies have turned into bloody capitalists. It's disgusting. Like Val Kilmer said in The Saint, right? You're going to tell me that Rex Tillerson, who won the best friend of Russia thing, and then ended up working in the as the energy secretary under Trump, that now they're not going, wait, did that guy? Was he sent here by the government a long time ago? Because that's what we do. Is Rex Tillerson, has he been playing us this whole time? Enriching himself, but also working for the U.S. government. And while he was out in these places, all of our oil areas aren't too far from our nuclear silos. They got to know where they are. All of our satellites stopped working in a month after the fall of the USSR. How do we know they haven't taken over our nuclear system, put in malware, and if we hit launch, they all just fly straight to Moscow? You think you know, but do you? Because nothing has happened to the U.S. system in that time. Hell, nothing like that has happened to the North Korean system that we know of in that time, or Israel, or any other nuclear power, even Pakistan. But Russia went through a 20-year window where there were a lot of people running around and almost no fail-safes. Our biggest problem after the fall of Russia in 91 of the USSR was all these terrorist groups were going to roll into these open silo areas because nobody was guarding them anymore and just gather whatever they wanted. Well, part of that might be true just in sales. They didn't have to roll up with a truck full of guys with guns like a James Bond film. They just had to make a phone call to the Lord of War, and he sold them parts. Really crucial parts that these things don't fly without. Yeah, Tillerson was Secretary of State. Beg your pardon. Thank you. Not Energy Secretary. Yeah. Point being, though, is that a guy who was our Secretary of State had gotten the, Best Buddy of Putin award and was tied in with the oil and gas industry there. Now they can say, we've got our guy. But Tillerson, if you'll recall, used some expletives about Trump, who clearly, joking or not, the modern Pravda in Russia calls our guy. And here's Tillerson, who's seen both sides of the veil, who's talking crap about Trump during the Russia investigation, by the way. This is, and if you're Biden or you're even George W. Bush or Obama, are you that paranoid about this side of it? No. But Putin is increasingly isolated because one of the reasons why he looked like crap for so long, besides the fact that he had surgery, is because he was literally, dude isn't sleeping. If you were, it's this simple. If you were Vladimir Putin, could you take a nap if you needed one? Anywhere?
Probably not.
Nope.
I don't think you can shut your brain off.
Nope. I mean, it's one of the...
Not drugs.
In a lot of ways, it explains... I think it explains in many ways why Trump is awake at all hours and constantly, seemingly, allegedly gacked on Adderall and then benzos just to pass out, which is what
seemingly allegedly,
yes. It makes sense. We're at the top of the hour. We got to take a break. When we come back, Philip Bittner will be joining us, and I get to jump through another technological hoop, getting him in on the conversation.
It's gonna be good.
Oh, it's gonna be good. Wish me some luck. We'll be back right after this. Okay. I could switch to like studio mode and do this kind of under the.
Yep, I'm
I
here.
heard him.
No, I'm here. Test. Hello. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Good. Great.
Oh boy. No.
Yeah, whatever. Mhm.
I'm cool. I'm alright.
Okay. 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 Test. 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Da-da-da.
Okay. Test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Test.
Five.
Test. 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 Still have an echo?
Take a 1, 2.
We're back in 20.
There you go.
I hear you, Chicago. Thank you.
Hey, Philip.
Hey.
Check. Hey, all right, now we're good.
Checking. Okay. Are we good? No echo? Nope.
Radio program Megaworldwide. I've had people walk out of me before, but not when I was being
So charming.
Video streaming at housefarms.com.
I don't care for you or for the putrid sludge you're troweling out.
Damn puss-faced little pimp stick.
True progressive talk.
Might be a good time for you guys to give up.
Joining us right now is our dear friend Philip Bittner, who is live in Kiev right now. He has been there since the beginning of the war for all practical purposes. He speaks Russian. Ukrainian is getting better by the day, and if you need somebody to find you pickled garlic stalks in the middle of Ukraine, you can't find a better source. Also, on the right side of history in it too. Philip, by the way, at Philip Edner on Twitter, 1L 2 T's. Hey, hi, how are you?
Hey.
You good?
I'm okay. A little bit. I hate to bring the mood down a little bit, but we had some bad news.
Yes.
A Marine that I know who was doing medical care out in Bakhmut was killed yesterday, or at least we were informed of his death yesterday.
Right.
So, and I just like to take a quick moment to give a little shout out to him. His name was Peter Reed.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Peter in Mosul. I met Peter in Mosul when he was doing the same thing that he was doing here, and that was basically running right towards the fire.
Mm-hmm.
When other people run away, he was running into the fire to help people and to provide first aid and casualty evacuations.
Right.
He had a little van in Mosul, and he would drive every morning from our hotel in Erbil in Kurdistan.
Right.
And he was a very brave guy. He was the best of what we expect from the Marine Corps. And I met him in Mosul, and we would see each other in crossing in the hotel. Everybody kind of knew who he was. We would have little chit chats, but it wasn't until I engaged with him, and I had an opportunity. I was working as a television producer, and I had the opportunity to buy some video. He would wear GoPros. He and his team. He had two other guys with him.
Right.
One was another American and another Brit. But anyhow, he would come and he would offer to sell GoPro video of going into Mosul, into the belly of the beast, and it was great video, It was just, and so of course I gave him money. And I remember.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on. The echo comes in a weird loop. I'm trying to solve for that, and it's temporary. So pardon me if I'm tweaking around in this, and I don't want it to run aground of what we're trying to talk about here, and so I'm just going to check a couple of things.
Is it something on my end? Is there anything I can do?
It's possible. I think it's because it's not looping on Johnny's side. So I'm trying to remedy it as best I can. It's one of those things. I wish I could just reach across the desk and flick a switch for you, but that's obviously not materially possible. By the way,
Is that any better?
It's tighter, but it's still there.
It's still echoing. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's okay. Well, I mean, this is part of the deal of we're. And by the way, it's because
that's better for me.
That's better for you. Okay. Anyways, I believe I blame the Chinese spy balloon. So fear not.
I knew it.
Yep, Chinese spy balloon. So anyways, go ahead, Philip, and I'll try to.
Well, anyhow, so I knew Pete when I spent an afternoon. I didn't know him well, but I spent an afternoon with him going through his footage that he would provide he offered to sell to us, and I remember him as a very funny guy, as a very he was a Marine. He was very much what you expect of a Marine. And one of the things I remember distinctly was him repeatedly trying to convince me, or it was very important for him to convince me, that he was not just taking the money for himself, that every dime that I was to give to him, and I spent about $1,000 or something, maybe $2,000-$3,000 on this footage. And he was insistent that I acknowledge that it wasn't for personal profit. He was going to go buy more medical supplies, which kind of gives you an insight into the caliber of the man. And sadly, the report is that he was in Bakhmut, in a van. and the Russians nevertheless opened fire. And he reportedly died when he was throwing his body over another human being to protect him from the blast. He was a very we should all aspire to be as selfless and as dedicated as Peter Reed. So it's sad news. It's another casualty in this awful war. And you add to all the other casualties, both people who have come here to help and people who are living under these awful circumstances. But it's sad. So I did a little in memoriam vlog on my channel on YouTube. But I just would like everybody who is in the audience to recognize that there are people over here sacrificing everything, giving absolutely everything. And he was a Marine. He knew what he was doing. He knew the risks. I mean, he'd had close calls in the past, but he kept going back because there were people who needed help, and he was here. And he had the skill set, and he ultimately gave his life, helping other human beings. And we should recognize that's going on here. Yeah. And recognize that people have decided that this is a fight worth paying everything. But I give if somewhere down the road any of Pete's friends, family, or loved ones hear this or know of this, then he gave his life in a good cause.
Sorry. So. Yeah. I'm sorry, brother. And that
sucks.
Yes, it does. I will say it's the thing we appreciate most about you being there is giving voice to that and the reality, because a lot of the argument that happens, and the best way out of sadness is anger, unfortunately. So I'm going to irritate you a little bit. Is the argument about money that goes on? Is that, that's where the focus is. Dollars, numbers of tanks, that kind of stuff, without the recognition that the purpose of the Russian invasion is to eliminate Ukrainians as an existing populace. Either by, and at some point, I guess they had, whether they believed it or not, were under the impression that they were going to roll in there, take over Kiev, and then set up indoctrination camps, kind of like the Chinese are doing with the Uyghurs. Just, build those things because they work really sweet in Xinjiang. They'll set them up all over Ukraine, train everybody to be a Russian again, beat the Ukraine out of them, and then go back to abnormal. They gave up on that plan pretty early. Either by realization or recognition that it was always flawed and ridiculous, and have just moved to killing them all. There was I played a clip last week of one of the, it's like kind of, I don't even know what their NCO class is in the Russian army, but the guy was definitely, one of their point people there. And somebody did a video comparison of him on the battlefield talking about having to wipe out the Ukrainian people as they exist. And then a clip of him saying, "I'm a Nazi," just saying out loud, "I'm proud of it. I don't want to hedge about it. It's not about National Socialism. I'm not even hedging around. Just I'm a Nazi, pure and simple. Like I believe in the out of anti-Semitism, just insisting right away, and again blowing out of the water this ridiculous Nazis in my Ukraine story." So 1.8.
The other thing that bothers me, if I can, I don't want to talk about. I would talk about Pete and people like him all hour, but the one thing you say that anger kind of can. I agree that's possible. I'm well past anger when it comes to the Russian. Yeah. The Russians just place of they're just beyond the pale. But what angers me is the guys who sit in studios in New York or Washington or somewhere safe in the West, right? And they pontificate about the validity of what the Russians are doing, and they've never they never come over here and they never put themselves at any risk. But they think that they are, because they've read a couple of articles or they've read a few books or they've consumed some Russian propaganda, that they have the means and the tools to determine what's going on here. And then you have people like Pete coming over here and putting themselves in the ultimate risk to save human lives and to protect these Ukrainians who are being assaulted. And he dies. He dies doing that. And yet there are people who sit cozy in some studio somewhere, blogging about how awful the Ukrainians are, how they deserve this. And they've never heard a shot fired in anger. They've never put themselves at personal risk or hazard. And yet they can spew a narrative that ultimately means people are going to die. More people are going to die because they're regurgitating talking points.
Yeah. So sorry.
I guess that makes me angry.
We're going to take an early break because the echo is really brutal. It might be maybe a switch to your phone situation. Sorry. Yeah.
Let's go into break and I'll swap over to my computer.
Yeah, because I'm throwing every switch on my end, and I think it's a drift thing because it has to do with the delay. That's why it's coming here and coming back to you and then coming back through. That's what the timing is. I was like I'm literally, I know how many seconds you are away as far as transmission at this point now. Anyways, we'll be back right after this.
I'll swap over to my laptop.
Cool. It's the House Parks radio program, Mega Worldwide. I should say that twice for the Chinese weather balloon. We'll be back. Yes, so hopefully we'll be able to fix that part of it. But, and because Johnny, you're fine. Check for me.
Checking 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. So the problem was his phone was looping back to him, and when he starts talking, it takes time for it to reach us. That's, by the way, when there's a delay or I seem like I'm talking over him, I'm just trying to let him know I'm going to say something after the thing. So you jumpstart the conversation a little bit. That's how long the delay is in between him. I'm more telling the chat because you're a professional. You know echoes.
Quit talking over each other.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah, baby. So, yeah, there was an audio loop back in there, and it might just be that he was hearing me on his phone without headphones or something. I don't quite know, but we'll get him up and running. I just didn't like the fact that he was trying to, eulogize his friend and we couldn't hear it clearly. That's heartbreaking as well. So that's why I was scrambling as much as I was to try and fix it. So he'll be back up in a second when he dials in at his leisure. And then I'm going to have to change the settings for him.
We're coming back in 20.
That's fine.
Thank you.
Love you, Johnny Million.
Love you too.
All right.
The name of Zeus is
Oh my.
Butthole! Did you get out of your cell?
Attention. Stop what you're doing.
Great to be with you, Dick.
Because we're coming back to the House Parks radio program,
That any better?
Worldwide.
They went a little
We'll
crazy.
find
with
out in a
it, and I
moment.
appreciate it.
Now let's get back with House Parks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
I'm in the process of bringing Phil back in with us, and we will make it happen here in just a split second. There we go, and she should pop up in a second. Hopefully that solves the vast majority of our echo issues. I saw it blinking. It happened. It started moving. There we go. And Phil, we can hear you. There he is. Look at that.
Okay.
Oh, and look at this big.
How's that? Any better?
It's very much better picture as well. We're all very impressed. I can tell you. So I'm gonna move you over a little bit. Oops, there we go. So we can fit you in there. Now, where were we? So much to cover. We have some questions already, and one of the things that came up before you came on the air, and I don't know if you're aware of this one, but there was a blog about I think it was on Medium was the main place I saw it, Russia's nuclear weapons may be useless. Nuclear physics may have rendered Russia's atomic threat hollow. This is to fully understand why Russia's nuclear weapons might be a dud, we first need to understand the type they have. They have 4,447 nuclear warheads. By the way, a good majority of them made in the 60s and 70s and never decommissioned. They just stacked them. We don't count the ones we decommission. They do, which is why they have double what we have, because that's the lifespan of them. We move them out. So, and 1912 tactical nuclear weapons in reserve, all of which are supposed to be able to be rolled out quickly. They're the ones that are on those little trucks that you saw in Spies Like Us. The difference is surprisingly small. They have a massive impact how they're used. Strategic nuclear weapons are what you might consider a typical nuclear weapon, an intercontinental ballistic missile designed to wipe out a city on the other side of the world. They have several designs, blah, blah, blah. For reference, let's see. They're very different in the types of nuclear reactions. To fit a nuclear bomb to a shell or a small missile, it has to be a pure fission bomb, and this design is relatively compact. That would be the tactical nukes we keep hearing about on the battlefield. But this technology is very inefficient when making a nuclear bomb with a yield of over 50 kilotons, so they are not useful for thermonuclear war. That is the idea. Those are the larger ones. They use a small thermonuclear ones use a large fission bomb to heavily compress and heat the capsule of hydrogen. Here's where the Russian problem comes in. A thermonuclear bomb needs two specific isotopes of hydrogen, deuterium and tritium. And this is due to the fact that these two isotopes fuse together at much lower energies and allowing the bomb to function. But there's an issue. While deuterium is a naturally occurring and stable isotope, which you can easily extract from water, tritium is highly radioactive, has a half-life of only 12 and a half years, and as such needs to be artificially made. We make tritium in the United States by irradiating lithium in nuclear reactors and then painstakingly extracting the gas it's emitted. It's the complexity. It costs $30,000 per gram to make the stuff. Wow. Well, they need a certain amount of tritium to work. And Russia has an economy smaller than the state of New York, and yet they somehow are running a full-scale invasion, fending off international sanctions, designed to cripple their economy, and still have to refine enough tritium to keep their 4,447 thermonuclear weapon arsenal topped up. It's not possible. Plus, who says they're nuclear? I mean, we haven't heard much about the nuclear reactors as function in Russia in general. I don't even know which ones they have that are still functioning, and it may be why they had their eyes on Zaporizhia for so long. And the loss of Chernobyl a long time ago, back during the USSR, took away their ability to get it from there. So
mean, there's a whole bunch to unpack.
Yeah.
That. Firstly, and I don't want to. I don't want to get anybody overly anxious about this. But firstly, we don't really know what Russia's economy is, because Russia's economy is a black market economy. It's a gray economy at best. So we really don't know what their GDP is. It's probably not extravagantly more than what we see on paper, but we still don't know fully.
Sure.
Secondly, we really don't want to be playing with nukes, whether or not their nukes work or not. I would not want to be. I wouldn't want to put it to the test.
Right.
And then thirdly, they still definitely have enough fissionable material to make a dirty bomb.
Right.
Which would be awful as well. But all of this, to now having said that, let me reassure people: Russia will not use a nuclear weapon, not a dirty bomb, not an active bomb. They know they know the consequences of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So they saber rattle, and they have their their spokespeople come out on their version of Fox News, their state-run television, and they saber rattle and they say, why do we even have these nukes if we can't use them? What is this about deterrence? There is no deterrence unless we actually are willing to use these things.
Right.
I've heard that narrative come out of Moscow in the last few days. But they know very well what would happen if they nuke anything.
Yeah.
If they nuke New York, if they nuke London, if they nuke Berlin, or if they nuke Kiev. That's it for them. They're done. After that, it's over. the entire world will turn against them. NATO will intervene directly. It's an empty threat in so many different ways. Now, I don't want to test them on this.
Yeah.
But I still am confident that they will not use that. Now, will they use some other kind of thing, like a chemical weapons attack or a biological weapons attack? I think that's equally, maybe on the battlefield, a chemical attack. God knows they don't really pay attention to the Geneva Convention or any kind of, rules of warfare. But, we have seen Putin in the last week saying things like, we don't have to just use conventional weapons. We have all sorts of. He might have been referring to a cyber attack, which they have.
Yes. Well, there was a report about that recently as well.
Yeah, their capacity for cyber attacks is significant. We've seen it in Estonia. We've seen it here. They've shut off a nuclear power plant here in the Kiev region back in even before 14. They were meddling around with that kind of stuff. I've spoken to people in the national security apparatus of the United States who tell me we know that they're inside our grid. So they have the capacity to do it. But again, the problem with Russia and all these threats is that they know that if they overplay their hand, they will get smacked down so hard because our capacity to levy war, both real and economic, puts them at a massive disadvantage. And they know it.
Right.
They know it. So I would not lose any sleep over and I'm here in Kiev, and I don't lose any sleep over it. The possibility of them using a nuclear weapon, the possibility is almost negligible. And also, by the way, folks, here's another problem with all of this stuff and I've been fielding these questions since the beginning of the war.
Yep.
Is that for them to use that kind if we kowtow to them because they have the capacity to use a non-conventional weapon of war, and I wouldn't even say it's a weapon of war, it's a weapon of mass destruction, nuclear, biological, or chemical, then we're always going to be bowing to them. Then what? What's next? They say, we want a piece of Poland. We want the Baltics back. We're going to nuke Kazakhstan. We're going to nuke Georgia. And we're always going to be acquiescing to them. They're bullies.
Right.
You cannot. If you let a bully you, he will keep doing it, and that is literally what is happening. So I'm not terribly worried about it, and equally, my stance is we have to stand up to him, because if we acquiesce, he'll just keep doing it. And if it's not Putin, it'll be the next Russian leader. So you have to stand up to a bully, and that's what the Russians are being right now.
Yeah. I think we are gathering other questions from the chat room as well.
Well, I have nothing for the happy ending that I got in my back pocket. So.
Awesome. I can't wait till we get our reports that Donald Trump releases a statement on how to solve this in 24 hours very easily by getting them in the room and solving it using Chat GPT. I honestly think that the reason he said that is because he thinks you can just now type something in and a computer will tell you how to do it.
They laughed at him.
Yeah,
they laughed at him on Russian
That's right. Yeah, so tell folks about that, because Trump said that multiple times this week. It would be so easy. You just get them both in a room, and there's magic words. Right.
Yeah, and Solovyev, the kind of top propagandist, said, just laughed, openly mocked him, and said, "Yeah, sure, 24 hours, and if you had a magic wand." I mean, he has no concept of what is happening here.
Right.
He has no and also people who also kind of support that mentality that there's a way to force Putin to the negotiating table, or even that Russia would negotiate in good faith. They don't understand the complexity and the historical dialectic that is actually being played out here. This is hundreds of years of colonial imperial occupation. It's not going to disappear overnight. I mean, what everybody crows about the Budapest memorandum. Why was there a Budapest summit? Because everybody knew that Ukraine was gonna be a problem because it is their crown and their colonial jewel. I mean, the jewel in their colonial crown, and they are threatened by losing Ukraine. They're not only because of strategic interests, but cultural, historical, Russia's sense of self-identity. Ukraine was always. We should have dealt with this in such a better way 30 years ago, and we didn't. And I put that on the doorstep of the West just as much as I put that on the doorstep of the Kremlin. So Ukraine was always going to be a problem. Everybody knew it. We should have addressed it in a more manageable way. But then there's the part of me that says we could never deal with this in a manageable way, because at the core of it all is the fact that the Ukrainians do not want to live in an abusive relationship with Moscow, and that's just not going to change. It's not like there are, the narrative that Moscow puts out is that that Kiev has been swayed or seduced away by the West. Well, that's not the case. Ukraine has decided that it doesn't want to be a colony, not of Moscow and not of Brussels or Washington, by the way. And I get snickered, and I get blowback on that when I say that kind of stuff, because there's, of course they're going to be vassal states to the West. No, if you think that they're going to be a vassal state to the West, you don't know the Ukrainians. Right. And they're not. They're going to be an independent nation. So, I am convinced that at the end of the day, as much blood as needs to be shed, sadly, the Ukrainians will be independent, and they will be sovereign, and they won't take orders from anybody. They'll cooperate. They'll be in a partnership, but they're not going to be a colony anymore. They've been a colony for hundreds and hundreds of years, and those days are over. This war is going to put that, to an end. So
exactly.
Anyway.
So again, let's take a break. We went over the break, but let's take a break, and when we come back, we'll take some of the questions from the chat room that we have. And we have quite a few because life finds a way. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk.
Such an idiot, Steven. I could do it in 24 hours.
And it would be so easy.
You could probably solve a problem that's 600 years old in 24 hours.
Right, exactly. Well, again, 24 hours, and it would be so easy. You just get him in a room. It would be so saying things that I don't want to say here, and you're like, I know exactly. As soon as he said that, I knew exactly what the fuck he was going to say. You know what he was going to say? He was going to say, Russia gets to keep what they got already. Ukraine, you stop, and we're not giving you another dime. And Russia will leave you alone if you let them keep what they already have. And then, and Russia would go, yeah, sure. And then as soon as it was over in 8 months, they would start firing again after they'd built up again and just do another attack. Like, it's just stupid. The ego involved is, it's classic, and it's...
And the obvious ignorance and the lack of knowledge. The man is... But it's not just him. There are others who simplify the situation with, they're this or that or the other thing.
Right.
No, man, this goes back way back, and it's been brutal. I mean, they've slaughtered hundreds of thousands, millions in their history of Ukrainians. And you think that could be just swept under the rug, and all will be forgiven, and we'll be buddy after all this? No, it's over. It's done.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at the
people. Be the same.
Yeah, I'm always amazed at the people who
back in 20.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chicago.
At the people who don't want to. Let's see. Okay, cool. I'm trying to fix audio on my end a little bit, as well.
Is it still echoing?
Nope, you're okay. It occasionally it drifted in, and I can't figure out why the cause would be. So I think it's just. I know I'm only on 1 day a week. I get it. I'm gonna have to jump on GarageBand and start sawing something together. This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all. Yeah, it's going to be good.
Hey, Hal, did you mean something like this?
This is the Hal Sparks Show. Wow. And a guitar note, and then progressive, and all. Yeah, it's going to be good.
The Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So one of the things I keep hearing, Philip Ittner, before we get to one of the questions from the chat, because there are many, is the idea that Russia's laughing at us. You've heard this a bunch. They're laughing at us. They keep laughing at us. I happen to think that what Russia is going through and what China is going through and what Iran is going through is so deadly serious right now that even if they think they get some kind of a win or the United States is embarrassed, if it's just embarrassing, they're just like not enough. And if they think it's some kind of win, even then it's just like, it's not. This is hilarious. Look at us dunking on them, which is this middle school mentality you see on the right all the time. And I do spend a decent amount of time laughing at the Solovyovs and that crowd a bit because it's so hyperbolic and it's so over the top that, there's almost no other.
It's desperate.
Yeah. What do you think the genuine state of, Russian feeling around, about the U.S. is right now, other than we're at a proxy war, NATO, blah, 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 that they sell?
Well, I don't know 100. It's difficult to measure.
Knowing your time spent there, because you've spent a lot of time there.
Well, yeah, I think there are those in Russia who are sick of the war. They realize it's a mistake. They realize that their young men, and now they're middle-aged men, are being thrown into just a Cuisinart at the front line. They know that it was a foolish move. They don't know why they're doing it. I've heard this growing sentiment of like, we know we weren't attacked by Ukraine. Why are we attacking them? But when it comes to America, look, there's a lot of built-up animosity towards America.
Mm-hmm.
We burned through a lot of goodwill in the 90s when we sent in. It wasn't just us. I mean, the Brits, the Germans, a lot of nations sent in carpetbaggers in the fall of the Soviet Union, but we did too. And so there's a lot of sour grapes. There's a lot of animosity towards America. But having said that, many Russians that I know to this day are like, we actually really like America as a country. It's just we don't like some of the we think your government is imperialistic. We think that they're all this kind of stuff. And look, we can have that argument, we can have that discussion, but the sentiment amongst Russians is that they actually do kind of appreciate. I mean, before all this started, go to Miami, go to South Beach. You would hear Russian spoken everywhere. They love LA. They love anywhere that they can go that's warm because, of course, they're Russian, and they hate the cold. So there used to be anchor baby programs in Miami.
Used to be. Trump Tower, Miami is effectively a prenatal ward for Russian pregnant women. It is its primary source of income.
You'll never hear the right talking about that, but they'll scream bloody murder if you're brown or yellow or black.
Oh yeah.
But a bunch of European-looking Russians, and making anchor babies in Miami. I don't hear a lot of crowing about that. I pitched that story to Fox like several times. They never took it.
Weird.
I don't know why I kept pitching. Yeah. But there's not quite the animosity amongst the Russian populace. They're upset with the way the war is going. They're upset that the war even exists. The attitude towards America, it's hard to gauge. But but here's the other thing that's happening internally within Russia. It's getting worse and worse economically. It's getting worse and worse in terms of their recognition of where they are on the global stage. And they also, Ukrainians and Russians oftentimes have shared families, and they are less and less inclined to openly disregard when their Ukrainian cousins call them and say, "You're bombing us, please stop."
Right.
At the beginning of the war, they said, "No, you've been, seduced, you've been lied to." Increasingly, some of them are starting to come around to the fact that maybe actually a lot of what we're doing is pretty awful. So, but it's hard to gauge because also it's a police state now. It's an autocratic police state internally within Russia. So, getting the real. I mean, I got friends who are in the Russian diaspora right now. I talked to them about it. They're heartbroken about the whole thing. So, it's really complicated to gauge the mood of the Russian people right now. But
let's
I think it's safe to say nobody's happy.
Right. And obviously the sanctions, because they are financial and because Russia knew that it was going to be engaging in this, and there was, one of the reasons why the Biden administration knew they were going in, even when Zelensky was dubious about it, was because they were stockpiling cash, essentially expecting sanctions. They were not expecting the amount of sanctions they got. That clearly caught them completely off guard. And the impact of it, because I follow a bunch of these like Russian lifestyle vloggers once this started, people who live in country, and they were in the beginning, they were like, we've got all these sanctions and everything's the same price and you can get anything you want and it's not, we're all an isolated environment. They're now in Georgia. They left. Like there's only one of those vloggers that's still in Russia, and he's in like way the eastern part of Russia, borderline. Like he could probably walk to China or North Korea if they knocked on his door. But everybody else who was like, these sanctions aren't doing anything, has left and is now doing videos about how they're better off. It's so weird.
No, I do not think that we will see empty shelves like we saw in the fall of the Soviet Union, because they're smart enough, and they also have an internal production of food. They're going to keep their people fed. They're going to keep their I think their intention is to keep their people warm.
Well, and those things aren't, a lot of foodstuffs aren't sanctioned, but the price of stuff was the big thing, and that it does get more costly, right?
Yeah, they're not going to get a new flat screen anytime soon. They're not going to. The price of oil is probably going to go up because while they have their own internal oil, they're not turning that into something that can be commercially used internally within Russia. That might become a problem. But they're gonna start see their quality of life diminish. They'll have subsistence living going, but they will not be able to get subsistence living will continue, but they won't be able to get anything.
Yeah, it's going to be luxury goods and dollar store stuff, but there's nothing in the middle because that comes from everywhere else. And that's because the rich stuff you work around.
The industry is going to be hurt.
Right.
Look, it's only just starting for them, but I don't think they're going to get empty shells. I don't think they're going to be like the fall of the Soviet Union era. The authorities are smart enough to know to avoid that, and they've got the means internally, so that probably won't happen.
Well, because of that stockpiling of cash, and because the sanctions don't cover a lot of foodstuffs and clothing and those kind of things. Let's grab a question though. Yeah.
Sure. My first question here is from Jonathan Black. What is a reputable wildlife / pet shelter that we can donate to out there?
Oh my goodness! In Ukraine,
I believe
they do exist. They do exist. I don't have one off the. You're springing that on me.
I'll tell you what, I have friends at the Humane Society, and they've been tracking some of this as well. What I'll do is I will post on my Spoutable and on my Twitter and Facebook pages. I will put up some links for everybody that the Humane Society of the U.S. is working with directly. And that, we can see it.
I know a guy who has been working with an outfit that does care for animals, rescuing animals and sheltering them until then either they can be reunited with their families, or they can be found new families. And that's an organization that is out near Ivano-Frankivsk, but I don't know the name off the top of my head. It's not hard to find, and Hal, if you know a reputable one connected with,
I will reach out to them. We will make sure it happens. Yeah, they're in
infrastructure.
Yep,
Ukrainians are big on that.
Yep,
so.
and the Humane Society of the U.S. is helping them too. So we love them anyways. They do great work. And let's see, we're close to, we got like another minute. Maybe this is one, give them the next, one more quick one if there is one.
Here's one from Nick Rich 56. Could Phil explain why Vova is used to name Vladimir Putin?
So Russians often have a diminutive for every single name that they have. So you have Svetlana, and that can go down to Sveta or Sasha. Alexandra, or Alexander can also be turned into Sasha. Vladimir can be broken down to Vova. It is diminutive, and it is often used between familiar people. It's a kind of a term of endearment if you're close to them. So when people kind of want to belittle a very important person, like a president of a country, they will diminish it inappropriately to Vova from Vladimir. It's kind of a condescending insult. So that's why you hear people calling Vladimir Putin Vova, because you don't call the president, of the country, by overly casual.
Yeah, it's like us calling him Pooty Poot, like those kind of things. Yeah. It's and
calling her Robert Bobby, calling it Kimberly Kim, and I want to be Kimberly.
Yeah,
you call her Kimmy.
Right.
Hey Kimmy,
you're right.
No, I'm Kimberly.
Yeah.
That kind of.
Yeah, and when it's somebody like Putin, it's like calling Xi Jinping Winnie the Pooh. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same. Like everybody over there. Yeah.
Right. It's a fragile ego.
Let's take. That if you call them over. Great explanation. And we'll be back right after this. It's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, now with 100% more Johnny Million and Philip Ittner joining us. Follow Philip at Philip Ittner on Twitter. 1L, 2Ts. Are you on Spoutable yet? Have you bumped over to there?
No.
Jump on there and snatch your name up early is what I do. So, so I'm on there on Spoutable at Hal Sparks. So there you go. It's
I know I should be doing a Substack, and I know I should be doing this.
This is here, and here's the thing. Most of this, like at some point, we're all going to have to get like a Buffer account. Like if you're going to buy stock in a company, it's going to be Buffer or Hootsuite, because they take one post and post it on 5 different things. That's what those companies do. Or people are going to be setting up, chat bots that do it for them. Like anytime I tweet, take my tweet and put it here, and here. Those things are already happening. And so people will be able to pick where they want to go, and you'll just post whatever you want, where you want it, or where you interact the most. And then you'll hear the blowback. And then there'll be another chat bot that says, hey, this one really caught on, so you might want to pay attention, and da-da-da-da. Like all that in a year, we're not going to recognize the input of social media on any site. Have you looked at the Chat GPT stuff? This is the minor part of it at all, Philip?
Oh, the Chat GPT?
Yeah, Open AI? Okay.
Back in 20.
Thank you. Spoutable's a new, like Twitter style site that just came up that's run by the people who run Bot Sentinel. So Bot Sentinel can tell you who's a real account and who's not. They formed an account. They formed a social media site with their premise being all real people.
You are happy. Let us be happy together. Whether the weather is cloudy or sunny, I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky. You are lucky. Let us get lucky together. Whether the weather is cloudy or breezy, I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. Because isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you? Chugga chugga choo choo. Woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together. Whether the weather is cloudy or stormy, I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Now, right out of the gate, you need it. Some days you need it more than others. And by the way,
that's true.
Yep. So real quick, there was one, I don't know if, Johnny, if you saw this one, that Tabby super chatted. The independent Russian media, Medusa, how are they doing? And are they accepting donations? Do you know Medusa? I'm not familiar with Medusa necessarily.
I do know Medusa. They're an excellent organization. They made up mostly of Russian journalists in exile. I think they're basing themselves out of Estonia now, in Tallinn. They're a very, very reputable, impressive group. They're the ones that did like the reveal of all the palatial estates of the ruling elite, Putin and Medvedev and the rest of them. So they are now they have now been banned from Russia.
Yeah.
So they have they're out of Russia, but they continue to, because many Russians have VPNs. They're continuing to broadcast in. I mean, just go to their website. Just go to Medusa with a Z.
Yeah.
So it's Meduza, and I'm sure they've got a contribution site there. They survive on that. So if you have it in your heart to support them, do go support them.
Mods, if you guys feel like throwing that in the chat for people, that would be fantastic. I appreciate it. They're probably already on it. I don't even know why.
I think it's either it might be .ru or it might be .org. I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah, my guess is, since most of the .ru servers are in Russia proper these days, because nobody wants them outside the country, they probably bounced over to org, hopefully. But we'll dig it up and we'll put it out there, just like the contact with the HSUS stuff. One of the, I always like the happy ending to be just happy, plainly happy, instead of like at anyone's expense. But this was a major deal. The new package of military aid that is coming to Russia from the United States, which, by the way, was already voted for last year. What people don't understand is that when the U.S. government votes on a $40 billion package or whatever, every time it's doled out, it has to be signed off on. So there's this thing. The U.S. is sending 2.2. That's part of the 40 period. Part either Lend-Lease or the already agreed to funds. It's not on top of. That's why all these right wingers seem to think we just gave them $40 billion and it's vanishing. Like, no, stupid. The $40 billion goes out in segments. So anyways, the most recent one includes a new rocket called the Ground Launch Small Diameter Bomb, which
impressive piece of kit,
and doubles the strike range of the Ukrainians. Doubles the distance by which they can lob.
It's a fascinating piece of kit. It's a fascinating piece of kit. It's actually cheaper than the normal missile that comes out of the HIMARS. This is a system that is launched out of either a HIMARS or I also believe it can come out of a M270 MLRS rocket system, which we have given them plenty of. It's a cheaper missile system, and it's got longer range. And not only that, it's very precise, and it carries a really good warhead on it.
Yeah.
And what it is it launches out of the HIMARS or the M270, and then mid-flight the warhead breaks out and it becomes basically a drone and controllable. So it's an amazing piece of kit. It will do significant damage. But I have a very good friend who's a military expert here in Ukraine, and I spoke to him about it. And his point was, look, it's going to be good, but it's not a game changer. It will not be a game changer.
Right.
But it will be. It's going to be good. It's going to absolutely, and it's going to increase. What it'll do is it'll increase that range, which will force Russia to push back its supply chain farther and farther and further back.
Yeah.
And as Ukraine advances, which we all hope they will do, I hope. When they get the vehicles, the Bradleys and the tanks, so that'll enable them to go on the offensive. When they go on the offensive, that will then force the Russians to retreat further and further back, because their lines of communication and support will be more subject to attack. So the 2.17 billion segment that's being provided right now has got a whole bunch of really good equipment, but what we're really waiting for is the Bradleys, the Challengers, the Leopards, and more of those are coming. The Challengers we've discussed will not be online for a really long time and may be too late to make a difference.
Right.
But when the concern right now on the ground in Ukraine is that there's just such sheer numbers that the Russians have put forward. I mean, it could be 500,000 men that might become crashing down on Ukrainian lines. And it's like a zombie wave. It really is. I hate to be dismissive because it's human lives we're talking about here. But the Russians are just going to throw bodies at this thing. And given the weaponry and the defensive lines that the Ukrainians have established, they're just going to slaughter so many Russians. It's disgusting and it's sad and it's going to be disturbing to watch because there will be footage. But that's what they're going to do now. Is it going to be enough to overwhelm the Ukrainian lines? We'll have to see. There's some talk that there might be growing tension between Zelensky and the military because Zelensky has been now publicly saying we are not going to give up Bakhmut. And there's the rumor mill is that maybe the military is like, no, now's the time to do a measured retreat. We don't really need Bakhmut.
Yep.
We were using Bakhmut as an anvil for the Russian hammer to crash against. But we don't necessarily need it. Let's do a managed retreat. But Zelensky is openly saying, no, we've got to stay there. Maybe he's thinking about the same idea that, if you want to kill yourself on our defensive lines, send all the conscripts you want. We'll have to wait and see. But, we're kind of in a
holding pattern.
No, we're in a limbo.
Ah.
We're in a limbo between these two sides. Are the Ukrainians going to get the weapon systems and the vehicles, the tanks and the fighting vehicles in time and get them to the front, or are the Russians going to get their zombie horde organized to crash on those lines? Which is going to happen first, and what will be the consequences of that? So that's why we're in this limbo situation. Some in Ukraine say that the offensive has already started. We saw the attack in Dnipro, for example. But this is about to get very, very bloody, very, very violent. Not that it hasn't been already, and very, very kinetic and a lot of maneuver. Mm-hmm. When that happens, I don't know. Now, I have my happy ending story.
Yes, yes, please
bring it.
My happy ending story is this. So I only just saw this today, but apparently there was a Zoom meeting happening between the foreign ministry and the authorities in Moscow, the Kremlin, and all the rest of it. They were on a Zoom meeting with a lot of the kind of the guys in the disputed regions, Lugansk, Donetsk, Zaporizhia, all the kind of places where there's not, there's a dispute. And so there are those who are kind of quislings, if you know that historical reference, who are kind of pro-Russian Ukrainians who have mostly been bought by Moscow, but I don't want to be totally disparaging. There are true believers as well. Anyhow, they were on this is the fun part, okay? So they were on this Zoom meeting, and apparently Ukraine's intelligence service found out that this was happening, and they busted into the Zoom meeting. And they were listening to all of the talk, and then they burst in, and they said, we see you in Zaporizhia, you in Donetsk, you in Lugansk, you have your names. Just know that we now consider you traitors, and you will be brought to justice when this. And then, and then they burst, and then they played the Ukrainian national anthem. You could see the faces of these quislings dropping and going, "Oh my God!" One lady quickly picks up the phone and is like, she's got her phone muted, or she's got the Zoom chat muted, but you can see her frantically on the phone, and then one by one, drop. It was
wow,
beautiful.
Like, who was on? Yes, who were the Russians on the line with them? Was it
like guys from the
military command?
Interior Ministry.
Yeah,
they think that these guys are part of Russia now. Guys in the Kremlin. Guys,
gotcha.
It's about 15 people on a Zoom meeting.
Right.
But it was just so interesting to see the Ukrainians who had decided to side with with Russia suddenly realize, oh my God, they can see us. They know who we are. And then to see them drop off.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then to hear the Ukrainian anthem playing, and all the Russians sitting there stewing, just furious. It was great. It was absolutely great.
This is an ongoing thing too, and maybe this will tie this up with the whole Chinese balloon idea. Is that one of the thing about the Russians is that we and a lot of other countries have used their launch facilities in Kazakhstan, I believe, with the primary one, to launch satellites and
Baikonur.
Yeah, right. And the Chinese used it all the time as well. They have their own launch site. It doesn't work very well. So they spend a lot of time, buying their way onto these rockets that Russia was sending up. And Russia's not really sending them up anymore. And so the Chinese satellites that need to be repurposed, repaired, or replaced are effectively, a lot of people don't know this, but like the Starlink satellites, about 100 of them just burned up and fell out of the sky. They do it all the time because there's these tiny little relays. They're not like you think of a satellite. This is happening to China. Oh, there she is, Flora, at the last second. This is what's happening to Chinese satellites. Maybe it's why they need balloons, and maybe that's why Russia's having the same problem with their satellites, and now they're ending up using Zoom through.
Well, there's no love lost between Kazakhstan and Russia.
Right.
Baikonur is the Russian launch the multi-stage rockets that they shoot up just get dropped all over the place in Kazakhstan, and they spewed jet fuel and rocket fuel all over the landscape of Kazakhstan. And now that the chink in the armor of the great Russian Empire is apparent to everybody,
it's a terrible thing to do to them. To Kazakhstan. Anyways, thanks so much, Philip Bittner. Thank you, Johnny Million. Thank you, Chicago, for soldiering through my technical difficulties. We'll see you next time, everybody. Okay, thanks so much. Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Hold for a second. I have a request that I'm gonna try. If I send both of you guys fresh links on something, would you rejoin me in a moment if I try to remedy something to see if this is better? Because I don't have an opportunity to test where you guys are and make sure it works. Yes. So hang up on that side, and then I will I'll DM both you links in a second.
Okay.
Excellent.
All right,
okay.
Here we go. Okay, great.
There you go. Now you can hear me, right? You look good. You sound good. You sound all right. See if he can hear me. Oh, wait. Hold on. Yep. No, my mic's going out. Okay. And then, yeah. And then I'm going to bring, let's see, settings. Give me 1 second. That's me. He should be able to hear.
Hey, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Well, that's far better.
Yeah.
Where is this?
Let's see. And I think I'll let
Somewhere
you...
outside of Albany. Hey, guys. Okay, so aside from the technical stuff that we're doing here, there is a Belarusian freedom fighter called Tadeusz. I'm gonna butcher this name. Tadeusz Kazushki.
You do, and you'll clean it up.
Anyhow, okay, funny guy. So he was like who's the other one? The Polish freedom fighter. Terrible that I'm capping on. No. Anyhow, he's a Belarusian guy that was part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and he liked is it Kolinsky Day? No. What is the day that Chicago has it every year?
Pulaski, yeah.
Pulaski Day. So he is similar to Pulaski, and he took part in the revolution to kind of install in the mid 18th century liberal democracy in the center of Europe, but because the imperial powers were right on their doorstep, they crushed them. We've talked about these guys in the past. But this guy's birthday was today, and the head of Belarus in exile, Svetlana Tsikhanouskaya, went and laid flowers at a monument to him, and I posted it, and somebody has just sent me a picture of a bridge named after this guy right outside of Albany. I mean, it's good to see that we don't forget our Polish heritage and the freedom fighters that came from this part of the world. You know, we owe them a debt of gratitude. We should be supporting this place.
Agreed. And hey,
how's it looking?
There's Johnny Million. And
people are saying there's echo on Philly.
On Phil?
Okay.
Yeah. Fire away.
Well, I don't know why that happened.
I got it. No. It's not you. It's not you, because I'm building this on the fly. So fear not.
Okay.
And yeah.
I'm put this lovely guy's name in the chat. I'll put it in the chat so you folks can look him up because.
Okay, for the record, by the way, I think this actually works.
Okay.
Yeah.
There he is. Oh, do I need to log in? Oh dear. Okay.
It's hard to say.
Oh, it's Twitch. Okay.
Yeah, so you'll see this in the Twitch chat. You won't see the YouTube chat per se. So what I'll do is the next thing I'm going to do, since this seems to work, it sounds pretty good coming from you guys. Sounds kind of
okay.
Yeah.
You sound much better to me as well.
Yeah, awesome. If this could replace,
so does Johnny.
Yeah, if this could replace how we've been getting to and from Chicago, which is a real problem, that would just make my life.
Yeah.
Right now. Excellent.
Yeah,
okay.
great.
So keep these links, guys, that I sent you because they're special to the show. And there you go. And Lokiera says she has a question. So we'll do one extra question just for the heck of it.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. That's why I'm here.
It'll take a second because it'll come up. And you'll be able to see that chat, by the way, as well in there. This works way better. And it's also, it's less choppy. So I think that what was happening was it was a mix of both, internet to and fro through the video setup that was just failing because it's video smoother. If I'm not mistaken, it isn't choppy like it was.
Seems to be.
Yeah. I think that site was just eating the life out of everything. Hold on. Let's see if it even gets better once I drop out of that. Yeah. So I obviously, Johnny, can you, on your end, does it seem smooth to everybody on YouTube and the like? Since we're okay. Yep. Does it seem currently fairly smooth? Are my fingers okay? They can. They'll. Well, it took a second, I think, but they should be able to. Let me make sure your volume is good. Check for me.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 10.
Okay, he's louder, but I fixed that on my end. Yeah. Yeah, but otherwise, I gotta say the smoothness of it is like a huge. Oh, thank God! All right, so that was clearly the same thing that was giving us that weird audio artifacting. Was the same thing that was. Oh wait, I know. Hold on, wait 1 second. Properties. I got to make sure that you are. Monitor and output. There you go. So both
monitor and output.
Now they can hear you.
No, Johnny. Can't hear Johnny. No, Johnny.
You'll give it a second. Give it a second.
Yes, come
Keep
on.
talking. Keep singing. Sing something for us, Johnny.
Come on. Can't hear Johnny. Johnny mutes.
There he is.
Johnny has no audio.
Mm-hmm.
Can't hear no audio on you. Johnny audio weak. Johnny no audio. Johnny can't hear Johnny. Johnny said
he's doing it. He's doing it. Oh wait, hold on.
Meow. Meow, meow, meow. Johnny. Oh, people are calling me weak. I'm not weak.
You are not.
The question: does Ukraine get info into Russia? Yes, it does through VPN, really. But yes, there are. I mean, look,
yay! They hear me now.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it. You can get information, even with or without a VPN. There you go.
Yeah.
Leonard got it. Got it. Yeah, that's the guy. I was
Johnny can talk now.
Yeah, he's a heck of a guy. That one, that Kozyetko guy. No, this Belarusian guy, Leather Goddess, has found his name. Yeah, he's both Pulaski and him. I mean, look, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. This is part of the reason why I think we need to stand by these people, because this is centuries old. That was 17. That was around the period of our revolution, 1770s, 1780s. And these people tried to rise up against the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth and the Russian czars. And they were put down horribly, and they had to flee to America and take part in the revolution there. So let's pay it back, folks.
Yeah. I'm also going to do something else and see if this helps. Nope. All right. It's not coming up yet. Share video.
I think Flora's done sound checking for now.
Yeah. Flora, is she? Very helpful.
Oh, very cool, Leather. Thank you. I'm going to check that out next time I'm in Chicago.
Share video source could be. Wait, this is very exciting. Hold on. Okay, no. I'll work this out. I think I may have to restart it to add so you guys can see what's on screen. Do you guys see?
I don't see you, Hal.
You don't see me. Okay. So, all right.
I see Johnny. I see Johnny, but I don't see you.
Oh,
and I see the chat.
Gotcha.
I see the whatever it is.
I see. Maybe it's not letting me. That could be the thing.
Walt Liquor wants to know if there's any vodka over there that was so bad that you had to chase it with pickle juice.
I mean, no. I'm not a huge vodka drinker because I've had enough of that for 2 lifetimes, having lived in Moscow. And they call it Gorilka here, by the way. What they do, though, is they do a form of moonshine in both Ukraine
which always sounds dirty.
Yeah, it's like turpentine, man. It's just, oh my God. I will say, however, it's funny that there's a vodka, and I don't know if I've got a bottle readily to hand because I bought it because of the name of it. And I see you, Hal.
Yay.
Vodka, Gorilka or a vodka here that they've called Javelin, St. Javelin, after the Javelin anti-tank missile system the javelins, and it's got a Cossack on the front of the bottle. It's got a huge Cossack kind of cuddling with a anti-tank weapon, which I thought was too funny to resist, so I bought that.
Excellent. All right, so far, other than I hear a little bit of slap echo on my end, which I don't think is going through to other people. I think that's just me. This might be the miracle we needed. Yeah.
Yay.
Hold on.
It's not
something here.
Okay. That wouldn't be you, but it's nice to know if this works. Yeah.
No, I'm thinking maybe if I put my headphones on.
Brad sent you a super chat for fixing it. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks. Whew. Crimey. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Fred, as well, and Kenneth.
Okay.
Yep. And by the way, Jordan Mills says sometimes you got to punch a bully in the mouth when nothing else works. Agreed. Although, again, in a direct conflict. Yeah. I'm gonna move over here. And you know what's nice about this thing? Not beyond the fact that it actually works, is that in my set of sources that I can see of both of you, I can. Oh, that's weird. Now I hear you. Better? I hear a little tickle of myself, but that's not you. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's good.
I put it on my headphones to see.
Yeah, that's not affecting the slapback. That's on my end, I think. Yeah, you were fine before. You were okay. Both of these work great. In future, either or neither. But anyways, I get a little signal about your video strength down there, like cell phone bars. That's so nice. So I can tell who's coming through.
How's the audio with this? Should I do it without the? I prefer using a headset.
It sounds great. Both sound good. So all good. Yeah, lovely.
All right. In future, we'll use this.
Yep, and Johnny, keep that. I'm going to share this with Chicago as well as our way to get them hooked up. Yeah, because they'll end up, if they can come in, this will work across everything. So if they can come in this way, then I don't have to worry about that. Like, I can play you guys. I'm fairly certain I can play you guys audio from audio clips that I need to play. So fingers crossed. I can create a separate mix for that. So
now in the coming week, do you want to do Wednesday again, Hal?
Yes, for sure. Thank you.
Sorry about yesterday. I didn't know you wanted to do yesterday, by the way. There is a chance I may be traveling, but I'll be going west, not east. So
whatever works.
I might be on location.
That's totally fine. I might be traveling Tuesday, Wednesday as well, because I've got a flying lesson in the morning and Masons at night. So I've got it's a tall order. I need to be in 2 cities at once. This whole cloning thing, I'm just in on it. I'm just going for it. So anyways, I'm gonna let you guys go since you let me guinea pig you. Thank you guys so much.
I'm glad so we don't have the problem in the future.
And going forward, this will make a huge difference. So chat room, hang around for a bit because I'll do some post-show cleanup with you guys and say hi and fix a couple of things while I'm working on it. And then I get back to just trying to get the old setup working. And even, by the way, even when I'm using the other computer, when it's back online, these will be the links to use, guys.
Okay.
Because we still run into that problem on the other computer. It seems to be that website. So anyways, love you. Take care. See you soon. Be safe,
everybody.
Johnny, good talking to you. Always good to see you. Everybody, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Hey. There we go. All right, now we're back in. Sorry. I hadn't added, because I wasn't planning on using this one, I hadn't added my voice to this. Anyways, doopity-doo. I'm just going to turn this on here. Maybe that's part of it. Oh, good. Look at that. All right. That's good stuff. All right. So now I know why. Okay. Now I can check. There we go. Check. There you go. Okay, yeah. So if I want to, I can turn this on. Yeah, there we go. Hold on. Whoops. Check. Okay, hold on. Cancel. Never mind. Okay, so I think but the voice mic on this one sounds pretty good to you guys. Just checking in. There's always a delay when I have to ask you guys to check for me just to make it. Everyone's a producer now. Thanks, Patreon. All the Patreon people who are messaging right now. There you go. All right, so I'm going to use an entirely different setup, and then soon the entire show will be run by AI. I'm just going to go scan my face. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you so much, you guys. Thanks, Dargal. Thanks, everybody in the chat. And hold on one second. Do I have the multi-stream? No, because it doesn't use that one, right? Yeah, it's still in the same one. Okay. Okay, excellent. Yeah, I'm on here. Let's see if I can do this real quick since we're here. I'm going to shrink down my little page, and then I'll bring up Spoutable. So connecting is secure. Proceeding. Wonderful. Hold on one second. Spoutable. There we go. Let me in. There we go. Now, let's see if I'll bring this guy up at the same time. And if you're looking for, let's make sure I'm not doing anything that I shouldn't. Commentary. Okay, bringing this up. Display. I'm bringing something up. Hold on. Oops. Shrink down. I've got to build something real quick so you guys can see me. I'm going to show you a page real quick as soon as I can. Move this guy over here. Yeah, that'll work. Let's see. Let's just move it down to here. There we go. Sorry. I'm just doing housekeeping. Be with you in just one moment, everybody. And might not have audio on this next guy until I fix it, so be warned when I switch over. But, oh, whoops. But, he said but. Oh. There we go. And then, let's see, move this down here so you can see it basically. There we go. And Turn off studio mode. I don't need that anymore. Yeah, so this is my spoutable officially, since there's no, I guess, I've only done 2 spouts. I'm not convinced of the name. I'm not. At this point, I'm just going to call them squirts. It's very weird. 58 followers. I'm not following anybody right now because I just set it up and then said a couple things and then bounced. But the nice thing about this, for the record, guys, is that because of who set up Spoutable, they let's see. Let's go back to here. Let's go back to their main page. Let's check on this guy. Pursue your passions. Okay, that's the login page. Anyways, that's Spoutable. It is it's open and running right now, and apparently they're having a great time. It's a good old time. And let's see, back up. And am I logged in? I think I should be. All right. But if as soon as I can, I will set this thing up to notify on Spoutable that the show is live and post other notes and that kind of stuff. I'm also, if you've been noticing, I'm finally being able to make my way back to Discord for the patrons as well, and I've been trying to set up some of the AI tools so you guys can experiment with them and see what they're like inside there. And I hope you find that fascinating or frightening or both. Let me see if I can go to the chat room real quick. And yeah, look at this. Hold on. This might be sweet. I can see all you guys. Look at this. Oh, and here comes Chud. Haven't been able to get back on Spoutable. Is it a password thing? How about Spoots? That's good. Spoutable is open the Oh, I see. February 6th. I see. Oh, because I was on the waiting list. I got in early when they were starting to do it. As soon as I saw it. And because I have a thing about, hi, Chud. Do you want to come up and say hi? Hold on. I don't need headphones anymore. Hi. Would you like to say hi? Hold on. Oh, gosh. Oh, Lord. There she is. Oh, it's Chud. Oh, here we are. Oh, look at this. Sharksable. That's good. Mm-hmm. Chud is good. So, yeah, I'll go. It's a shame Johnny Million isn't on. We could have a Flora Chud off because it's almost like they're the same age. Mama Chud. How's Mama Chud doing? And watch what you're saying in the chat room, because if Chud gets angry, people die. I'm kidding. They don't. They get snacks, actually. It's weird. She said a strange... Chud looks smaller. Well, I mean, she's sitting, so maybe that's part of it as well. Also, let me see if I want to do something else, if I can, just to be a complete jerk. In stream, there was an echo from the stream thing. So, what's stream sound? Hi. You guys could just hang out with me while I'm fixing stuff. Properties, and open them for me. Thank you. So that's the device's monitor. All right. I know how to. I get this. Let's see. Let's just mute that and turn it off. Okay, we don't need that. We're gonna do this all my. Let's see. All my stuff will come in through one way. There we go. And then the other guys will come. They'll hear me. And my mic has a single source because I can send audio to them because I don't have to worry about it anymore. Yay! Hold on one second. This is here's me setting up microphones and stuff like that. Hey, look, it's my voice. Da 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 da. See, that's what I see when I'm like, I don't know what the problem is. And there's a bunch of problems. Yeah. So, what'd you do? What'd you do that for? Oh, it's not open, I see. Anything that's not open is grayed out, I see. Okay, so now the other test is, chat room, hi, there you are. Chad just flipped you the paw, did she? Not me the paw. Yeah, hi girl, there she goes. She really likes the chin scratches. She's a big fan. Yeah, she's going at it. Yeah, I know. I think she's half pigeon. She just does that. Oh, Poetess, thank you so much. Don't tell me the audio. Okay, audio's not muted again. God damn it. All right, so what else do I need to... Okay, so let's see. Here you go. We'll move this over here. You guys can hear that, right? Hold on. Nope. Nope. Okay, so stream, and I'll set that. I know. Hold on. Connect this. Properties. Let's see. Wait a second. Gotcha. Okay. Stream. Let's check this guy, and I'm gonna make it wavelength stream. There we go. And monitor now. Then I'll hear myself. Right. And I'm doubled, but I'll get rid of that. And then I go over to here. At the very least, I know what's going on right now.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Oh, that was a weird.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Why was this stream? Oh, why would they hear? Why would the stream hear that? Oh, because of other stuff I've got set up. Never mind. I'm gonna have to work on this offline. Otherwise, I will. At some point, I'm going to deafen everyone, and I can pull my headphones out of my ear really quick. It might scare Chud, but I'll be okay. Yeah, there'll be a bit of an echo. But I think I can. Yeah, I'm gonna work on this. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go and continue to work because that's what I'm doing. No air top end on your mic. Yeah, it's because it's going through a filter right now. I'm gonna test it without it echoing me a lot. Yep. Because I'm hearing a delay. It's way long, so it's almost impossible to talk over. Anyways, much love to you guys. Thank you guys for your support and your patience. And as the weird thing is I should be able to fix my other computer today because I'm getting a new startup disk and I'm gonna have to just go through the process of rebuilding everything. But once it's done, it'll go back to working normally, and then I will have done all these tweaks just for shits and giggles. Anyway, so love you guys. Take care. See you later. Bye.